we spent hours and hours together, which was, delightful. And a lot of it was, I think I was one of her sounding boards for the exhibition. So we spent lots of time. We spent some time at the Fisher looking at stuff and, doing the investigative stuff, trying to figure out what the heck was this and how was it made. But as well, just talking about the, what she wanted people to get out of it. I think it's a challenge showing things so well. There was so much, I know that was a challenge for me. I was learning from her how you could communicate the stuff that you could take years learning, but now you're going to try and get someone to learn some of it in 15 minutes, 20 minutes, while they're maybe even slightly distracted, but you still want them to get some aspect out of it. So, and yeah. And I think she talked, how to structure the cases and related to how to structure an exhibition about structure is interesting. It's even, do you go outside in, do you go inside out, do you go sideways? It's all very, there was lots of thought and lots of experiments in her minds and, laying the cases out and then stepping back and coming back a month later and saying, yeah, I'm not sure.
Some of the things we did together was work on maquettes, so making models of some of the books and the structures just to see if we could understand what we'd seen. When some old books will end up being damaged and the spine will have fallen off or something, and those you can often really tell exactly how they're made because there's nothing hidden. But when the book is in better shape, it can be hard to tell how it was made. So these are just some of the examples we worked on. This one and this, which are actually the same structure. I just started out making something small. This was really an interesting project to me. She had made notes, and she was a fabulous bibliographer, so she made very detailed notes of the structure. And she tried to make it work. And I'm sure it's really hard to see, but in fact, it's sort of poorly made. Like there's holes in these strips which are there to add extra strength to the spine. Sometimes 2 threads go through one hole, sometimes 3 threads go through one hole. There's gaps. It's just, it seems like there wasn't necessarily a precision to it. And so combining that with you have notes about what the thread looks like inside the signatures where it loops in. And so she had a lot of notes like that. She tried to make an example and it didn't quite work. And I tried one that didn't quite work as well. And then we understood that this was made by, a particular person in some point of the day, some hundreds of years ago. And they were probably just trying to get it done so they could go on to the next thing or go and have lunch or something. So when we're able to sort of follow in that mindset and think, okay, how would I make this? Clearly this was not the finest piece of work they'd ever done. How would I make it so that it works? And like this was a book that, we were looking at a book that was hundreds of years old and in such good shape we couldn't tell how it was made, which means it had worked well. They'd made good choices, but so what would I do to take shortcuts and still have a good, solid working book? And there's one strategy where you actually sew these individual sections. You sew more than one on at a time, and so there's less thread through various parts of them, or you miss holes in the back. And the general rule of thumb we learned sort of as bookbinders is that 2 on is good. So sewing 2 at a time is good. 3 on it is you're probably not. You don't like the customer then. So I tried 2 on and was able to realize that, it actually almost naturally came out to look the right way as long as I just sort of found that mindset and of what this person was trying to achieve that many hundreds of years ago. And that was really, I think that was the delight that we both found when looking at these various examples, as well as just you're ultimately discovering decisions they made that they certainly even never shared with anyone. So really there's probably, 3 of us have ever known how to make this book. Greta and I and the person who did it, that way back when. So that was just exciting to me. Part of Another thing I got from Greta that was so valuable to me is, in fact, understanding that Fisher is a place for me too. It's, you know, I didn't go to the university, and I'm not an academic in that sense, but understanding, yes, I'm actually, it's for me, and you know, she sort of pushed me to get my reader's card and go in and look at my own books, because it's just, there's so much to discover. I mean, I understand there's so many people that are discovering the content, but to discover the structures and just look at these handmade objects and be able to try and understand the choices that were made, and which lets you understand more about the person and the craft, you know, as over its hundreds and thousands of years of history.